y'all, and welcome to Monner's Market, and welcome to Bloom with Grace. This month's challenge flower is violets or pansies. That is the flower that my co-host has picked for today. And my co-host today is Krista with Krista's Crafty Life. So I want to thank Krista for being my co-host today. Her channel will be linked below as well as the playlist. Let's get into the DIY since I can't talk. For DIY number one, I have this cute little tray. I got this set of nesting trays from Woodpecker Crafts. I am a Woodpecker ambassador. Their link will be listed below if you would like to find these. And I'm going to take the smallest one and go in with some Antique Wax by Waverly. Now, I started out trying to use a wet wipe, and it wasn't working for me. So then I grabbed a paintbrush and painted it on. Then I took the wet wipe and wiped it off, and that pretty much done the trick. I didn't want to leave it brown. So after I got the paint job on there and was satisfied with it, I went back in with some ivory chalk paint from Waverly and sort of gave it a heavy dry brush. And I did not want it completely covered because I wanted kind of an old antique-y look to it. And I'll show you why when you see what I'm going to do. So after I got this tray painted, I wasn't real crazy about the paint job that I ended up with. But, you know, when it's rustic, it's just far from perfect. Like everything that I've ever seen that had a rustic tag to it is always very imperfect, very rustic, quote unquote. And that's pretty much what this tray turned out like. So once I got the ivory on there, I printed out a water slide of this beautiful scenery that had violets on it. Now, I know that you guys have seen water slides on several other people's pages recently. I've even done a water slide video for that particular company. This is not their water slides. And I can tell you that I was not happy at all with these particular water slides. So I'm not even going to tell you the name of these water slides because they sucked. However, I have been using water slides since I started my channel well over a year ago. So it's something that I use on my tumblers and things like that I make. So with the water slide, if you've never used it before, once you print it out, you want to spray it 3 times really, really well with a clear coat. Let it dry completely. Then you want to duck it down in water until it becomes loose. And what happens is that water activates the glue on the back of your image. And then it is as simple as sliding, hence the slide, water to lift it, slide to slide it off. Your water slide slides into place and you are literally done. You want to make sure you take a rag and sort of, pat it and make sure you get all of the bubbles out from under it. Dry the edges really good and look at this gorgeous tray. It was so quick, so easy, so simple, but I love the way it turned out. So let me know down in the comments what you think about this particular tray. I wish I could have gotten my printer to print it as big as the bottom of the tray is, where it could have fit the whole bottom, but it just wouldn't configure right, and I didn't have any legal size paper. Had I had legal size paper, I could have done what I wanted to, but I still don't think it looks bad. I still think it looked okay considering, but I thought that paper was just absolutely beautiful with those violets on there. Now for DIY number 2, I think this is probably my favorite one. I found this little rabbit the other day at the Target dollar spot. It was $5 and it's just a thick, chunky rabbit. So I took the little tag off the back. I couldn't get it off, so of course you use heat. Comes right up. It loosens that sticky off. Then I went in with this purple petunia by Apple Barrel. And I used a white because what I wanted to do was give it sort of a wood-grained look with the purple, but it was just tacky. I just didn't like it. So I gave it a heavier coat around the edge, And then I dry brushed over the top of it with some more of that ivory. Then I printed this print out on a regular piece of paper. This is not water slide, just a piece of paper. Outlined it, cut it out, used Mod Podge to glue it down. And then I finally, after almost a year and a half, got me a finger sander. And look here, if you don't have one, click the link down below. There will be one in my Amazon store. These things are a lifesaver. Well, you know, I'm used to using that big old block from the Dollar Tree, and it's so big and so bulky, and it's really hard to get down in tight spots. But even the tight spot between the ears on this rabbit was super easy to get down, because believe it or not, that yellow part is a sponge. Like, I thought it was a hard piece of plastic, and it's not. It's actually a sponge. So it's easy on the hands. It's not hard to hold. Works like a dream. So then I took some twine and I wrapped it a few times around the little neck, tied a knot in it, and then I just made a little finger bow where you take your twine and you wrap it around your fingers, you know, 8, 9, 10 times. Just depends on how many you want to do. I didn't even count it. Once you do that, you just sort of twist it in the middle and tie another piece of twine around it into a knot, and that's it. Your bow is done. And then I just glued it on top of the little knot that I had where I wrapped it around the neck and glued that down. Now, I did go in with a little violet / pansy that I got from the Dollar Tree, but that flower was so big it kind of overtook the whole rabbit, and it was just too much. Like, it was just too much. You'll see what I'm talking about in just a second. There's the bunch of flowers that I got. Cut the back off of it, glued it down, but look, like it almost covers the whole face, half the belly, and I was like, nope, I am not feeling this. So I took it off, and I thought maybe I could use it for a little hair diddly, but didn't like that either. So I had these other cute little purple flowers that I got from the Dollar Tree. I don't even remember what they were called, but I took off 3 or 4 of those, clipped off the little, you know, thing that sticks out of the bottom because you can't put it close enough to the twine to look right, snipped it off, glued it in place, and that was it. This was done, and I thought it was just the cutest stinking little thing that you've ever seen. And it goes perfect on the little tray, and I'll show you at the end what it looked like once I was all done. But isn't she adorable? Like, I probably should name her. She's so cute. Penelope. I can't even say it. Let's call her Penelope the bunny. Isn't she adorable? Oh my gosh, I just love it so much. And those are the daintiest, cutest little purple flowers right there. I think I'll link it down below and let you know what they're called. So for my last DIY, I simply made a beaded garland. I haven't made a beaded garland in a while. So for all of my new subscribers, which I have a ton, I'm going to show you how to make one, but I'm kind of going to go through it quickly because I have a lot of them in my other videos. I am obsessed with beaded garlands, so I make them all the time to match different things. I love to use these little skewers that you can get from the Dollar Tree because you can really keep it, you know, just keep your beads as you're painting them, keep them still and keep them from flip-flopping all over the place. So I painted some in the purple petunia, 5 actually. Then I painted 5 of them in the antique wax. And then I painted 5 in just the white Waverly chalk paint. Then I left my little tinier beads natural. And when I strung it onto my twine, I just did one of the tiny natural beads, and then I'll, did it all 3 colors like in a row. And you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. It'll make sense. I said I did white. I didn't. I did the ivory. So instead of painting 5 of them white, I painted 5 of them in the ivory. I had that little white bottle of paint sitting there, and it threw me off. But yeah, it was ivory for sure. So once I got them all done, set them to the side, cleaned up a little bit of my stuff, because you can see right here I was making me a hot mess. Look at that plate from that heat on that gun. It just started rolling it up like, I mean, the heat just melted that plate right away. So anyway, once I got them dry, you'll see where I start to string them in just a minute. I did take a wet wipe on the antique wax, and sort of, it was just too much on there. And you couldn't see like that real pretty wood grain through there. You always want to take a piece of tape and put it on the tip end of your twine when you're trying to string these. You just get a whole lot better. Trust me. Do yourself a favor. Don't fight with it, because it's going to start unraveling and pulling apart, and you're going to be pulling your hair out. And then you just can string them on, string them on, string them on, string them on. And then once I got them all strung on, I made myself a little tassel. If you've never made a tassel before, they're super duper duper easy. You just take your twine, and I took the top to my little bowl right there that has my tiny little beads in it. And I just started wrapping that twine around that top. I would say maybe 15, 20 times. Once I got it like that, I ended up cutting the twine, ran a piece of twine through it. Let me slow down where you can see what I'm doing, because I'm getting way too ahead of myself. This is me just continuing to finish up the beaded garland itself. Okay, now I'm going to start wrapping the twine around the topper. So I wrap. It just depends on how thick you want your tassel as to how many times you want to wrap it. Once I got it wrapped, I took another piece of twine, ran it through there, and tied it in a knot at the top. Once I got that done, I pulled it off of the topper, took another piece of twine, came down about maybe a quarter to a half an inch, and tied it to make the head of my little tassel. Once you get your head in place, tie that off, then take your scissors and go through the bottom, cut it right in half. Now, it's not going to be even, so grab it in your hands, get it really, really even down there at the bottom, and just snip it right across. Now your tassel is done. All you have to do is tie it to the bottom of your beaded garland. Some people make it without even cutting it and having it two pieces. I have never been successful at doing that. So if you're successful in doing that, you do you. This is what works for me. And then I took a piece of tape and wrapped it around the bottom, because that was so wild. Like, I mean, it was having a bad hair day, and I just wanted to tame it down a little bit. So then I took one of these cute little chalkboard tags from the Dollar Tree, and I tried to find a violet on one of my chalk couture transfers, and the closest I could come was a Hawaiian flower on our, I think it's called Sunny Days or Beach Days transfer, maybe Sunny Days. And this will all be linked below, so don't mind what I'm saying. Just look at the links below. If you're interested in the transfer, all you got to do is click on the link. So if you look here, I'm looking at the little darker lines in the flower, looking at the little darker lines in the Hawaiian flower. That's the closest I could get. So I cut that out, fuzzed it. You know, I always have to fuzz it. If you're not familiar with chalk couture, you want to fuzz it so it doesn't stick and ruin your transfer. Then I went in with a dark purple. All these will be listed below. Then I went in with the berry, which is a lighter purple. And then I went in with a white. And then I just sort of smeared it all over to mix it all together. And look how pretty it was when it was done. Isn't that gorgeous? Yes, it's a Hawaiian flower. No, it's not a violet, but it's as close as I could get. So then I tied that to the other end, and now my beaded garland was done. And my third DIY was done. So once again, let me know down in the comments what you think about my tray and my bunny and my little beaded garland. Tell me which one was your favorite. And look at that. How cute is that? I don't know about y'all, but I'm a sucker for a beaded garland. You can add that to any tier tray, any shelf, any table, and it just spruces it up, and it's just as cute as it can be, in my opinion. So I have them in literally every color of the rainbow. I've said that 1,000 times. So this is my final reveal. This is everything that I made for you today. I did go ahead and throw those violets into a small vase just so you could see the ones that the Dollar Tree have. That's my little bunny. I love it. And then this is just how I styled it for you. So I would love to hear what you think about it down in the description box. Now, if you are here from the playlist and you have never been to Monner's Market before, my name is Brenda, but my grandbabies call me Monner. Monner's my grandma name. So that is where Monner's Market came from. So I just want to thank Krista with Krista's Crafty Life for being my co-host again today. Again, her channel will be linked below as well as the playlist. Go see what everybody else has made for you today. Again, thank you for coming to Monner's Market. Thank you for watching. If you're not subscribed, I would love it if you would become a subscriber, be a part of our little family. Either way, thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Be blessed. Bye now.